You're not supposed to be checking. Don't open the lid. Thailand's famous Penang Curry. If you've always wanted to make this at home, then I have the perfect recipe for you. Okay, so for this one we're going to make our curry paste from scratch, and I love making Thai curry paste. I think it's one of the best ways to get to know a lot of different Thai ingredients and also to figure out what Thai ingredients your Asian grocer has down the road. So let's start off with the chilies first. Now for most Thai red chili paste, we use the dried red chilies for this rather than the fresh. So I've had these soaking in some hot water for about 10 minutes or so. Just want to cut them up. Now we're going to be using a blender today, and I've got lots of little tips and tricks here for how we can best use the blender to make a curry paste at home, because there's a few little things that might catch you up. The first tip is to chop things up quite small, because that's going to help your blade get everything really smooth. And then the second thing, so this chili water, just keep that for when we go to blend, because we may need to moisten the mixture to help it get really smooth. You'll see what I mean a little bit later. Now the next ingredient is galangal. So galangal looks like this, similar to ginger but not. It has a very beautiful pine forest, citrusy, high note to its aromas and flavors. It's really worth seeking out, and it freezes quite well as well. You'll see that there's little bits of pink on here as well. That's another way to tell that that's your galangal and not ginger. Now what you need to do is just peel the galangal, just a small piece, and then finely chop. Next we want some garlic, and then some red Asian shallots as well. Now you could use French eschalots here too. And now some lemongrass. I love that smell so much. Now what we need to do here is bruise the lemongrass. Just cut that end off because it's often very tough. And then peel off these outer layers because they're also really tough and fibrous. And now finely slice. And I also want some coriander roots. So just take those off. Now, if you're using coriander at home and you're not using the roots, just stick them in the freezer until you're ready to make your curry paste. That way you're not wasting any. And now for the kaffir lime element. So this should be one of the crucial flavors for a true Thai Penang curry. And what I like to do is use both the leaves and then also the fruit itself, which is this gnarly looking guy right here. So with the leaves, you want to take those off the stem and then pull the stem out of the leaf as well. Roll those up and then finally slice. And then the lime itself, so the lime juice inside of here is really bitter, and I've asked my mum about what you can use it for in terms of food. Now she said that in her village they don't use it for food, they just use it to put in their hair, funnily enough. But anyway, I have not tried it in my hair, but you guys feel free. What we need here is the actual lime peel. So you want to get as much of the peel as possible without too much of that white stuff underneath, because that will be bitter. A little bit's okay. Just need 2 or 3 slices here. Now I just want a really fine chop on this. Now I know this ingredient's going to be a bit hard for a lot of you to find. Don't worry, if you can't find the kaffir lime itself, then just use the leaves and just leave that out. But if you can get a hold of these, it really makes a big difference to the paste. And then shrimp paste. Yes, it's kind of funky smelling, but it adds a beautiful saltiness and background umami flavor to the dish. You don't even know it's there at the end. So just pop it in the paste and don't worry about it. And now for my dried spices, a little bit of coriander and some cumin. And then the last ingredient you'll find in some recipes and not others. I've done my paste with and without, but there's some peanuts here, but if you have allergies, you can totally leave these out. Won't make a huge difference. Now let's start blending. Now if you have a look here, this is one of the pitfalls of using a blender instead of a mortar and pestle to make your curry paste. So have a look and you can see that what we're getting here is just a lot of chopped ingredients. We're not getting a paste, we're not releasing or smushing out all those beautiful essential oils and flavors and aromas from the ingredients like you would do in a mortar and pestle. So my tip is to add a little bit of liquid to this. Now a lot of people add oil. That doesn't work out quite so well, because for me that then becomes like an emulsification. The oil thickens up, the ingredients thicken up, and everything just becomes the wrong texture. So what you want is some of this chili soaking liquid. A couple of tablespoons first. And because this is just water, when we go to cook it out, it will eventually evaporate and cook out of the paste. So don't worry too much about how much you add. And that's better, but I can still see we're just getting a chop here. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. And that's better. So what I can see here is that that blade is actually catching those ingredients and they seem to be turning over quicker and faster. Exactly what you want to look out for. Okay, so this is the texture that you're looking for. And this makes enough for 2 amounts of Penang curry, which is good because you don't want to do all that chopping just for one dinner. Share it out over 2. And you can just store the unused curry paste in the freezer. Now comes the easiest part, and that's the cooking. So I just need a little bit of oil and half of that curry paste. And I want this curry paste to sizzle and cook out a little bit in the oil because the heat is going to be releasing even more of the flavor and the aroma and then cooking out those raw aromatics like the garlic and the shallots. All of this contributes to flavor. That's what it's all about. Okay, so that's had a minute or so. It smells amazing. Now I'm going to add in my chicken, and this is chicken thigh. You could use breast as well, but I'm going to do this the slow way. And the darker meat suits this style of Penang a little bit better. And now we add the coconut milk. And as I mentioned, there's a couple of different ways to do Penang. One is really quickly, almost like more like a stir fry style. And for that one, you can use chicken breast or prawns or seafood even. But I'm gonna go with the more traditional, slower cooked method here. And this one's really great for tougher cuts of beef or the chicken thigh. And then pop a lid on, turn the heat down, and let that simmer away for half an hour. Mom, you're not supposed to be checking. Don't open the lid.
Just checking. Listen to your mom. Why is your boss all the time?
Okay, so this is smelling so amazing. Let's have a look. And that's just what we want. So this longer cooked Penang style of curry has that really nice thick sauce and some of that red oil on the top. Just perfect. Okay, now for the seasoning, because of course we haven't seasoned this yet with the fish sauce and palm sugar. I like to do it at the end. I always like to taste first, just get an idea of how things are going. Now for the palm sugar, you'll see that it usually comes in these hard blocks. So you just need to shave that sugar so it dissolves quickly into the curry. And then the fish sauce as well. Let's see how we're going. Almost there. To me, this style of curry should have a little bit more sweetness than usual, so I'm going to put a little bit more palm sugar in. And now we're floating in that territory of the amazing. You know, the thing that I love about Thai curries is you bring all these huge flavors like fish sauce and galangal and kaffir lime leaves and palm sugar and chilies, and then you create something so harmonious and so beautiful at the end. That is just delicious. Now to serve this up, dish out the curry first. Look at how thick and luscious that is. And then a little drizzle of extra coconut cream on the top. And as I said at the beginning, the kaffir lime leaf flavor is really important here. So I want some extra finely sliced leaves on the top and just a couple of slices of chili. And there you go, guys, a classic Thai Penang chicken curry. One of my favorites. I hope you love it too. That flavor, so amazing. It's just an explosion of everything that's wonderful about Thai food. I mean, you can't get much greener than this. This is a spinach-packed Thai green curry, beautifully poached fish. This is my super green Thai fish curry. All right, so I am always looking for ways that I can easily add more veg into my weekday diet, and adding a whole bunch of greens into my regular Thai green curry is such a great option for me, and I think you guys are gonna love it as well. So I'm gonna start off with making my green curry, and I just need a little bit of oil in my pan here. Now I'm gonna be using my Thai green curry kit here. This is like my original kit. This is one of the first products I ever made, food, and it's probably one that's the closest to my heart. I use my own family recipe for the green curry paste, and my green curry paste comes pre-seasoned with just the right amount of fish sauce and palm sugar that you need to get a really well balanced Thai curry. Now don't worry, I know not all of you can get a hold of this, so head to my website. I've got all the instructions there for how you can use any other Thai green curry paste and all the other ingredients that you can find in your local supermarket. So bear with me, don't miss out on this curry if you can't get my kit, and if you can, well, that's just great. All right, so let's start off with the green curry paste into the pan. Now you always want to be frying your curry paste first. That gets all of those aromatics and ingredients in that paste releasing all of their flavors and aromas. Just a minute or so is great, and then add in some coconut milk. And then Thai green curries are not incredibly thick. They tend to be more almost like a soup consistency. So we always add a little bit of water to our curries, mainly here in Thailand. So I'm going to do just that. And now take a look at my massive bowl of spinach. This looks like an entire mountain of spinach, but it will wilt down. This is baby spinach. You could use regular spinach as well. Just add that in. And now you just want to heat this through until the spinach wilts down. Okay, so there you go. The mountain of spinach has now become a very manageable amount of spinach. Now just grab that and pop that into your blender or food processor. And pour the rest of that sauce in there too. And then you just want to blend until you get the most amazing emerald green sauce. It's like magic. I love it. The color of that sauce just makes me so happy. All right, pour that back into your saucepan. And now we can add in our other little bits and pieces. So in my kit, you get your kaffir lime leaves and some Thai basil leaves and some dried chili as well. So you can add that in. That's going to flavor the curry sauce. Of course, you could use fresh kaffir lime leaves if you've got them, or you could just leave those out if you want to. And now I also have bamboo shoots in my kit because for me, traditional Thai green curry generally usually has bamboo shoots and I love them. So they go in. And I've got some fish. I mean, you could do this with chicken, prawns, pork, any protein is pretty good. Tofu would be great as well, but fish it is today. And now just mix that through. Oh, I still can't get over the color of that sauce. It is beautifully virtuous. And now we just wait for that fish to cook. Oh, the smell of a Thai green curry simmering on a stovetop is such a homely pleasure for me, of course, because my mum's Thai and I grew up eating Thai curries most nights of the week, well, at least 2 or 3 times anyway. And just gonna pop that out into a bowl. And now just for a final little bit of flourish here, I'm going to add some fresh Thai basil and some ruby red slices of chili, just because I love that juxtaposition of the red and the green, and beautiful. And there you go, guys, definitely super green, but such an easy way to add some really great, good for you vegetables into a weekly dish. And let's see how we've gone here. Oh, that colour. You know what I love about that is that spinach, we've added so much of it, and yet it hasn't affected the beautiful Thai spices and the aromatics and the coconut. It's really just added a really nice colour and some goodness. Yum. Do I have green tea? Oh, not. I was just saying to the guys when we were filming this, it kind of looks like the Hulk, like the actual curry looks like the Hulk. It tastes really good though. Yum. A spoonful of this crab curry will give you all the feels. Fresh herbs, loaded with flavor, and yeah, this one is really spicy. This is my version of Southern Thai crab curry. Okay friends, so this curry right here, it is like one of my all-time favorites from Thailand, and actually since I left Bangkok because of COVID and I've been living here in Australia, this is the one I've missed the most. I'm not gonna lie, it can be very tricky to make with ingredients outside of Thailand. So I have made my version, this version that should actually be easier for you guys to make at home as well, because not all of you live in Thailand. So here goes. This is a version that will give you the same beautiful feeling that the Southern Thai curry in Thailand would give you, but with a few substitutions. So let's talk about chilies first of all. So I'm using some dried chilies here. These have been soaking in some hot water to soften them up a little. And these ones are dried bird's eye chilies. So they are like way hotter than your average bear. You could use the milder, larger ones if you would like. Traditionally, this curry is very spicy, like really on fire spicy. So I like to go with, you know, the really hot ones. But you just want to grab a hold of those chilies, squeeze out that water. Now don't throw away that chili water because we're gonna need to use that a little bit later on. So our next characters in this story are some galangal and some ginger. So these guys kind of look the same, but they're not. I know, so if you have a look here, the galangal typically is, you know, has little pink tips, it's a bit darker, and the ginger, you know, a lot of you would be familiar with ginger. Now, galangal might be a little bit difficult to get a hold of in your area. If it is, leave it out and just add a little bit of extra ginger. The flavor won't be quite the same, but you'll still get the same idea. So with the galangal, you just wanna break off a piece, and it's a lot firmer and tougher than ginger, and just sort of cut off a lot of that really hard exterior. Galangal has a really lovely sort of like pine forest or citrusy kind of smell and flavour. That's what sets it apart from the ginger. Just some rough pieces here. Now for the ginger, just peel that. And even if you've never tackled making a curry paste from scratch at home, it's actually a really nice way to kind of make friends with Thai or Asian ingredients. So, you know, don't be scared. Again, just some rough chunks here. Now for some lemongrass. The outer stalks can be a little tough, so I just peel them back a little. And then just chop that. Next up, you want some shallots, some garlic. Now we want some magurd lime leaves. So they look like this, and they have a really beautiful lime fragrance, obviously. But what you need to do here is just take the stem out. And now for the herbs. So we're going in here with some coriander root. Now, a lot of you guys have asked me about coriander root. It's not its own thing. It is actually just the root end of the coriander or the cilantro, which might be what it's called where you are from. So if you can't get the actual roots, that's okay, just go with some of the stem. And look, if you can't get a hold of these as well, you could use some lime zest instead. Now for the spices. Ground cumin, ground coriander seed, and a pinch of salt here. now we have shrimp paste. So, shrimp paste is one of those things that you should not smell. Just put it in. Don't put it anywhere near your nose. I know it's a little whiffy, but it really does add like a salty umami flavor. And you know, you only need a little bit, but it makes a world of difference. It's like that little pinch of salt. Always necessary. It's a little thing, but it makes a big difference. Now give that a blend. And what you'll notice whenever you're making a curry paste in a blender, because obviously, you know, traditionally you would do it in your mortar and pestle and it would be beautifully bruised and smushed to gloriousness. But I understand that that's not everyone's cup of tea. So if you have a look in here, blenders kind of chop rather than smush, which means you need a little bit more liquid to kind of get everything really going. So get some of that chili water, scoop that in. You really can't add too much here. I mean, don't go and add the whole lot, but because it's just water, it will evaporate when you put it in the pan anyway. It's much better than adding oil at this stage. The oil will like emulsify and change the texture of the curry paste, which I don't really like. So water is way better. Now just blend until you have a smooth paste. Might just need to like sort of open up and kind of brush that down every now and then. And now this is the kind of situation that we're looking for here. A nice fine, I still like it a little rustic. You know, I don't mind that kind of, you know, the little bits and pieces in there. That's kind of cool. So I'm gonna get that out into my bowl. And now the final character for our curry paste story is some turmeric. Now you could put the turmeric into your blender, but then you will stain your whole blender yellow. So I like to put it in at the end. Just mix it through. So now you've got your beautiful curry paste. Now this will probably make 2 to 3 curries. And the reason I say 2 to 3 is that it depends on how hot you like your curry. You can use less curry paste to make it more mild or more to make it hotter. I wouldn't go more than 2. I wouldn't make one batch with this because literally your mouth will be on fire. Okay, so to start off with, you want a little bit of oil. And the first step for any kind of curry making generally is to do what's called bloom the curry paste. So you add it into your oil and you want just enough sizzle here. I don't want it too hot. I want a little bit of sizzle here so that I'm cooking out those aromatics, the raw garlic, the raw shallots. They all need some time to kind of get a bit more mellow, and the spices need time to really kind of let their aromas and their beautiful flavor go. So that's what we're doing here. So after about a minute or so, everything should be smelling amazing by now. I want you to add in some coconut milk. And the crab. Now I'm just using some store-bought picked crab here. If you can get frozen crab in your area or even tinned crab, you could use that too. And I've also done this with fresh prawns as well, and even fish will do. So, you know, go with what you can in your own local area. I don't want you to miss out on this because you can't get something. Okay, let that bubble away, and I'm just going to add in some little extra bits and pieces here. So I need first of all some water to kind of thin this out a little. I don't want it too creamy. It's not about being creamy, it's more about being spicy. So a little water. And we need to now adjust with our seasonings. So I'm using some palm sugar here, and I definitely don't want to make this curry sweet, but some of that heat needs a little bit of balance. So add a little bit of that. Now next up, some fish sauce. And what you're aiming for here with this curry is that when you first taste it, you should get like a big hit of chili, but then you should get this really beautiful kind of salty umami flavor coming through, and that comes from the fish sauce. So be generous with the fish sauce. Now just let that bubble away gently for 15 minutes. Don't boil it too rapidly because you don't want that coconut milk to split. And by then, all the little bits and pieces in there will be one beautiful, harmonious, lovely crab curry flavor. All right guys, this is currently smelling so ridiculously tempting. We are ready to go. Now, first of all, I want to just test the seasoning here. So always with Thai curries or most Thai dishes, or you really want to get that balance of the flavors. And by balance of flavor, I just mean it should just taste good to you. But that means, there could be some adjustment. Anyway, let me get in here and try. Okay, so I'm checking for like saltiness and sweetness. Oh, that tastes good. Oh man. But I'm thinking, yeah, we're spot on with that fish sauce and the palm sugar. I actually don't need to add anything, which is actually unusual. Usually I do add a little bit at the end, but oh man, that's good. We're not finished yet though. We need to add in here some fresh herbs. Now, in Thailand, you would add what's called bai chaplu. So that is a particular kind of herb. It's called a betel leaf, and it has a really beautiful medicinal herbal loveliness. But I just can't get a hold of it where I am in Australia. So if you can get a hold of betel leaf, please slice and put those in here. I'm gonna use some Thai basil though, because that's what I have that's available. And it will still give you that kind of like, that herb freshness, if you like. But you want a whole lot. It's almost like another vegetable in this curry. Just mix that through and we are good to go. Now, when I'm eating this in the south of Thailand or at my favorite southern Thai restaurant in Bangkok, typically you are always going to get some beautiful noodles on the side, either rice vermicelli or what we call knom tin noodles. But I've got vermicelli here today. Now I'm just going to ladle some of that curry in here. Okay, so when you go to eat this, you grab your noodles, you get a whole bunch of curry on top, you mix it all up. I'm just gonna go in here and let's just have a look at this with the herbs, with everything. Guys, if there is one curry that you are going to make from Thailand, make this one. Oh, wow, you really get, it is hot. It is really like almost I'm gonna die hot, but beneath that heat is a beautiful amount of savory, salty, crabby, fresh herb, coconutty, all the things. And even with the substitutions, still amazing. Yum. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button plus the little bell one, and that way you'll get notified every time I release a new video. Thanks guys.